Okay, this one's a beauty. Some of you will realise I'm now doing a series of videos to put out there each of the driver audios, that the audio exchanges between the drivers and their race engineer after Latifi had crashed at Abu Dhabi 2021. So this black thumbnail here, video 2, is the Lance Stroll communication to his race engineer. This is going to be the analysis of that, because that black thumbnail is just purely the audio recording without me speaking. So if you want to see that in its entirety, go and take a listen. I advise you do. Okay, it ends with Lance being really confused, going, "Yeah, man, what the," and then swears, and he gets hushed up very quickly. "Yeah, we'll explain later. We'll explain later." Just in the same way that McLaren had to tell Lando Norris, "We'll explain later," when it came to his supposed slow puncture. There's a lot of explaining later that has to be done hushed up. That would indicate there's something wrong here. Anyway, what we're going to do, we're going to go through the video, and I'll stop it and point out to you the key elements. If you pick out anything either in the original recording or in this one that I'm missing, please comment in the comment section, and if necessary, I'll do another version of this and include all of the points that people are making that I might somehow be missing. So that video, as we've got tracker view, shows you where Lance Stroll is on track. He's approaching turn 5. I've had to move the most of his camera out of screen so that we don't get blocked on copyright. But as you can see from the timestamps of this, if you've got F1 TV on Abu Dhabi, you can go to 1:28:20 and you can do all this yourself. Okay, this is what you will see if you've got F1 TV. You go onto Lance Stroll's driver cam, you'll actually see where he is on track. You'll see the view from his cockpit, but this is what you're going to hear. This is where he's going to be on track, and let's show you what's wrong. Here we go. So Nicholas Latifi is now crashed, right? Stroll has just come round turn 5 going down the back straight. Oh no, Nicholas Latifi has crashed. And that will be a safety car. There's bound to be a couple. And that's where Max Verstappen's fresher tyres will fire up on any kind of restart. Not all kind of restart, just any kind of restart, because any doesn't mean all. You'll see that Latifi's dots come to a standstill. No communication yet.
Safety car, safety car, safety car. Run switch cool, stay positive.
Now Lance's race engineer is actually quite good in as much that he clearly communicates things. Gives his driver plenty of notice where he can. I would suggest that that's a pretty competent race engineer. Now, in terms of strategy and decision making, I can't say anything about that, but in terms of doing the job of communicating to your driver what needs to happen, that's pretty good. Which makes it surprising that he doesn't seem to know the rules of the sport or doesn't object to those rules being broken, but we'll see how this goes.
We shall box.
We are boxing, windows open, Lance, box, box. Latifi is outside of 14, Latifi is in the barrier, exit of 14, pit lane will be busy, Latifi is on the wall outside of 14.
So really good instruction there. You're coming round 14, that's where the jeopardy is, so be aware of it. He's giving him clear instructions to make him aware of where the obstacle is. Okay, and he's also telling him the pit lane's going to be busy. That's fine. All right. Remember, Lance Stroll is also a young lad. All right, they're young lads playing sport, and they don't go reading the rule books for themselves. Anybody that's played sport, you've not read the rule book cover to cover. There'll be a tiny percentage of people that do, but you pick up the sport. And like I say, a lot of these guys, they depend on those around them informing them of what the actual parameters are. So if they're in the driver's meeting and the race director comes in and says this, 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 and this, or somebody like Martin Brundle is presented to them and says, well, this, and this is possible, they'll just believe it, and they won't necessarily work through in their own mind the implications of that. And therefore they won't necessarily be able to challenge it. They'll just take it as read. And it's only when they realise what's happened that things start turning around in their heads. So some of these drivers, I'm not actually blaming the drivers themselves. Some of them won't necessarily know. Some will. Some have been in the sport long enough to know exactly what this is all about. But I'm not saying that Lance Stroll himself knows much about this. His team should, though. Absolutely should his team. On go the fresh softs, giving him that massive advantage. Aston Martin playing their clever cards. Let's see if he benefits from the shootout in the same way that Max was allowed to benefit. They're a fraction of a second out of sync because you just saw the red and white curbing go under his left front and he's rounding that curbing now. So there's a couple of seconds difference, but we're there or thereabouts. Anyway, sounds like there's going to be a radio message.
I have to follow my delta?
Yes.
Who pitted? Did everyone pit?
A couple of cars ahead pitted, Vettel stayed out. We haven't lost a position. But there was nothing to gain, so we just wanted some fresher tyres. So turn 14, do a hard left, the car is still on the outside. Hard left in 14, the car is still on the outside. There should be some debris there and there may be some extinguisher smoke.
Again, good information, all right? Good information to Stroll. There's still an obstacle there, all right? This is what you would expect from a race engineer informing their driver of what situation they're going to encounter. And how does he know it? How does his race engineer know that that is what Lance Stroll is going to encounter? Would it be that they've got access to camera footage of that corner of the track so that they're aware? I mean, they might have a spotter there. That Aston Martin team might have spotters dotted around the track, radioing back to their race engineer, giving them information. Or it might be that they have they have access to the F1 TV cameras, which can clearly show what's going on. We get Brundle and Crofty going, is there a crane on track getting that car out the way? Can't see. Brundle and Crofty can't tell you, but Stroll's race engineer can tell him exactly what's going on at that corner of the track. Funny that.
Okay, do not follow the delta, no need to follow the delta. So the train is in turn 3, turn 4 now, train is in turn 4.
Who's in front of me now?
Sorry Lance, repeat.
Who's the car in front of me? There's the McLaren and the Red Bull.
That's Ricardo and Verstappen. Ricardo and Verstappen.
So Verstappen will cut the queue, yeah?
So Verstappen will cut the queue, yeah? What makes you think that, Lance? What conversations have taken place beforehand? Why on earth would you jump to the conclusion Verstappen will cut the queue? Yeah. When do you ever see that happen? When do you ever see, in a safety car situation, one of the cars be allowed to cut the queue? Yeah. Okay, so somewhere along the line, you've been involved in a conversation whereby scenarios relating to a safety car situation late on in this race and what we're going to try and do about it to ensure we get a racing finish. You've been party to some sort of conversation like that for you to be saying this sort of thing because you'd never seen it happen that way. So what is making you think that Verstappen is going to cut the queue? That's just not right, is it?
And the Red Bull.
That's Ricardo and Verstappen. Ricardo and Verstappen.
So Verstappen will cut the queue, yeah?
Because that's not what happens. Verstappen doesn't cut a queue. Okay, what happens is any lapped cars, okay, that qualify, they get released. And with them being released, it means that then Verstappen bunches up. It's not cutting a queue, is it? Okay? And you will be one of those cars that's released, having been a lapped car, Lance. And then you'll be given the opportunity to try to make it around the track to join back up with that safety car snake before racing resumes. You need to be released on lap 56 at the very latest, so that lap 57 can be afforded to you as that mandatory lap with which to attempt to catch the back of the pack, and that is the only way that racing can resume. So if lap 56 is a key lap, if you can't be released by the end of lap 56, it's a safety car finish. No cutting of any queue. Very, very strange.
Yeah, so when we're instructed, we'll both be going past Verstappen if they give us the instruction to unlap.
So that's correct information. Apart from if they give us the instruction. There is no ifs. Okay? When it is safe to do so, or if it is safe to do so, then that will happen. If it's not safe to do so, then it doesn't happen. And if it doesn't happen, it's because it's not safe to do so. And if it's not safe to do so, it's not safe to go racing. Okay, you cannot have a scenario where it's not safe to release the lapped cars, but it is safe to go racing. No. As soon as the track is declared safe, you carry out this mandatory procedure, and that is to release the lapped cars and then to afford them a further lap of the track to which to catch the back of the pack, and that restores sporting fairness to all competitors, and then and only then can racing resume. There's no ifs, buts, maybes. You can't resume with lapped cars in situ. Lando Norris has now been left a lap behind Gasly when previously Lando Norris was closer to Gasly than Verstappen was to Hamilton. And you cannot allow Lando to lose a lap on Gasly due to Latifi crashing. Whilst at the very same time, Verstappen's 12-second deficit is all wiped out. Oh, you can be right in the back of Lewis now, Max. But not you, Lando. You're going to be left a minute and a half behind the guy that you were previously only 12 seconds behind. No. That's the regulations. That's the purpose of the regulations. They lie about the purpose of the regulations. All of this sports media lie about the purpose of the regulations. It's an entire contrivance. And let's just rewind that.
Yeah, so when we're instructed, we'll both be going past Verstappen if they give us the instruction to unlap.
If they give us the instruction to unlap. Yeah. And they will give you that instruction if it's safe. And if it's not safe, you'll continue lapping behind the safety car until it is safe.
So out. Out 2, go to out 2. There's a crane on the outside of 14, so hard left 14 again.
Again, instruction. Okay, he's coming round about 13 and he's getting the instruction. There's a crane on the outside, so stay hard left. Whereas Brundle and Crofty, is there a crane on track getting Latifi's car out the way? Can't see. So the commentators that are telling the world what's happening, they can't tell you. But Aston Martin, their race strategist, well, he knows. He knows. From the pit lane, he knows. But Brundle and Crofty, they don't have access to all of these screens. They don't have access to that camera. They can't request from F1 TV. Yeah, show us what's going on at turn 14 so we can communicate that to the global audience. Oh no, we can't see. We just got to continue with the narrative. We'll just keep reading off the screen. It's not absolutely mandatory, but that's normally on a wet day in Belgium. Okay, we should now be on lap 56, the key lap. The lapped cars must be released this lap so that lap 57 can be that mandatory lap afforded to them to try to catch the back of the pack, and that's the only way lap 58 can be a racing lap. Let's hear what goes on.
So they are not going to be allowed. So we will not be allowed to overtake. They will not allow us to unlap ourselves, Lance.
So the race will resume in this position?
Yes, we believe so.
So the race will resume in this position. Yes, we believe so. Now, at this moment in time, as I've said many times before, if you cut to Nicholas Latifi's car camera, it will be on a crane, it will pan round, and you can see from the car camera there are marshals on track still clearing debris on the track. The reason you cannot release the lapped cars at this stage is because it's not safe. The track is not being cleared properly, there's still debris on the track. It's highly likely that the clerk of the course hasn't performed his checks on the barriers and signed off to make sure to hand back to the race director to say, yeah, we're safe, we're good to go again. That needs to happen before you begin the unlapping procedure. It's clearly not in a state for him to do that. Hence, you can't do the unlapping procedure. Why are we coming up with this notion? Yeah, we think we're going to restart like this. Why would you think that? Because that's not in the regulations and it can't be done like that.
Ourselves, Lance?
So the race will resume in this position?
Yes, we believe so.
So they believe that the race is going to resume just like this, and this is on lap 56, halfway around lap 56, and they think it's going to resume like this. You've actually still got until the end of this lap to release the lapped cars and perform that mandatory safety car lap on lap 57. So as long as all 8 of those lapped cars are released by the end of this lap and have all got past the leader and the safety car by the end of this lap, it can still resume validly. But they're saying at this stage, they think it's going to resume like this, and it's not allowed to resume like this. Why are they even thinking that it's going to resume like this? What conversations have taken place? What discussions have taken place between the teams beforehand to make them all think that it's going to resume like this when it's not allowed to resume like this? There's an agreement between the teams, isn't there? There's an agreement between the teams. There's been a meeting between all the teams, between all the drivers, and somebody like Brundle or Michael Massey has stood up in front of them and they've expressed to these people, oh, we want to try to ensure this doesn't end behind a safety car because that might be an anticlimax for the watching world, many of which won't understand the sport. So we will do whatever we can to try and ensure that this ends as a race. Okay, so these are the scenarios we might go through, and in which case this is what might happen. And everybody nods their head. And everybody nods their head because they realise that by attracting a big audience, it means more money, more revenue for them because they get a share of that money pot. And so they're complicit with the rules being broken to facilitate that ending. That's not allowed. That's a fraud. That's sport manipulation, sport fixing. It's a fraud, and Aston Martin are complicit with it.
The order breaks a little bit. Ricardo in front is on one yourself with 2 lap holes. So in field is on the head of him. Also 2 seconds, 31 lap holes. Hard. Strategy is 31 lap hold hard. But Sainz and Bottas behind will be blue flags for you straight away.
And so what he's doing, he's coming out with the blue flag narrative. Sainz and Bottas behind will be blue flags for you straight away. Well, you're not allowed to resume racing like that. You're just not. Go and check out the regulations. Article 48 of those 2021 sporting regulations. Article 48, the safety car. Once you deploy the safety car will remain on track, and at least until the leader is behind it and all the cars are bunched up behind the safety car. That is where lapped cars haven't been lapped. Well, where cars haven't been lapped. That was something like 48.10. Might be 48.9. That is what the safety car does. It neutralises racing. It gets rid of the gaps between all competitors. They all bunch up. So all previously built up advantages get wiped out. 48.12 is what applies once the leader has begun lapping cars in that race. So as soon as the existence of lapped cars, you have to carry out 48.12, which is once that track is declared safe, then all of the cars that are eligible to unlap are given the instruction, right, you may now unlap. Once they've all passed that leader in the safety car, that safety car will return to the pits at the end of the following lap. That affords those released cars at least one further lap of the track with which to attempt to catch the back of the pack so that we've got a full safety car snake in the correct race order, first competitor down to the last running competitor. All of the gaps in between those competitors are nullified, and then therefore we can get going again. That's how it works. We've had a safety incident, it's ruined racing, all of the previously built up advantages are wiped out, but they're wiped out for everybody uniformly, and we're effectively starting from a scratch position again. That's called sporting fairness to every single competitor. That is what the regulations are there for. That is the purpose of the regulations. It's nothing to do with getting them out of the way of the race between the leader, as I've proved on countless occasions. Why are Aston Martin just going with it? Why are they not calling out that this isn't allowed? Because they're going by the scene now. And the marshals jumping over the barriers in the orange overalls. Again, I've showed you that on multiple occasions. And Hamilton is now on his lap 57, meaning that even if the lapped cars are released on this lap, then the safety car must remain on track for a further lap. There's 4 occasions where Massey, as race director, has made that safety car remain on track for 2 further laps to make sure those released cars fully caught the back of the pack. Funny that. What do you know, Michael Massey? Well, you know the purpose of it, don't you? Because it doesn't take 2 full laps of that track to get those released cars out of the way of the race between the leaders, does it? No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
Strat 6 in the background.
There's cars overtaking the safety car.
Not us, not us. Stay where you are, stay where you are.
So that's confusing, isn't it? There's confusion. Lance is like, well, they're being allowed to overtake. Well, why am I not allowed to overtake? Because Lance there is thinking, right, if we go racing again, I've got fresh soft compound tyres. If I overtake Daniel Ricciardo in front of me in the McLaren, then I can overtake my teammate and beat my teammate in this race. Even if he doesn't manage to overtake Ricciardo, but Ricciardo overtakes Vettel, then Vettel's then the car that's in front of Stroll. And Stroll can overtake Vettel, making Stroll, again, beat his teammate. He'll think thinks he's a big man for doing that, won't he? Why can't I do that? My teammate's been allowed to overtake and disappear off around the track. Why am I not allowed? Well, that's because this isn't in the regulations. It's not allowed to happen. It's not allowed to happen.
Safety car is in this lap. Safety car is in this lap.
Again, look at how smooth the race engineer just announces that. Nobody is saying this isn't allowed to happen. This isn't in accordance with the regulations. We've gone through it. Go and have a look at Mick Schumacher's race engineer. He's not saying what's going on here. This isn't in accordance with the regulations. And neither is this guy. They're not pointing out that this is wrong. They're going with it. They're complicit with breaking the rules of the sport to manufacture that last lap of that event. Complicit with breaking rules of the sport to produce an outcome. That's fraudulent. That's sport manipulation. It's a fraud.
Safety car is in this lap. Safety car is in this lap.
Nowhere in the regulations does it say that, and yet you're just smoothly communicating that to your driver.
Cars behind will have blue flags. Cars behind will have blue flags.
Again, not even a possible scenario. Not allowed. Not allowed.
I don't understand why I shouldn't be able to overtake the safety car.
Don't you worry, Lance. You're not wrong. You're not wrong because you should be allowed. So the fact that you don't understand is not a failing on your part, Lance. There's a contrivance going on, and they're messing everything. Well, I say they're messing around. They know what they're doing. Sadly, it's left you in a situation where you don't realise exactly what they're contriving. Understandable. Because you know you should be being released as well. You're eligible to be released and you're not being released. Why is that? I don't understand why that is.
Okay, we need go one, Lance. Go one, overtaking from the control line. We've got blue flags for bottom for signs, blue flag for signs, blue flag for signs. Strap 5, strap 5, strap 5. Blue flags for the 2 cars behind, then we can race. Blue flag stroll. Go.
So, of this, now we have a motor race on our hands, right? This one. You don't have to get them right out the way or get them go right around the track. Then we have a motor race on our hands. Who gets to have a motor race on their hands? Because this isn't much of a motor race on his hands for Lance Stroll here, is it? Because he can't just get on with racing the car in front of him because he's got to let cars by him. Yeah? They weren't there to let by previously. Before Nicholas Latifi crashed, okay, them cars that may have lapped him or may not, the 2 AlphaTauri cars, they weren't there. Okay, so he could have just carried on at his own pace, trying to chase down the car that was in front of him, couldn't he? But now, he's got 2 cars that have arrived there that he's now got to wave part by him. So he can't be right on the tail of Daniel Ricciardo. And not only that, his teammate, who didn't change onto fresh soft compound tyres, well, where's he now? Well, Sebastian Vettel's down here at turn 9 because they got released and passed the safety car to get out of the way of Max Verstappen being allowed to challenge Lewis Hamilton. Lance Stroll here is down halfway between turn 5 and 6. There's no chance of him being able to challenge Sebastian Vettel there and losing 11th position. No chance. But, oh, it's all normal. It's all normal, everybody. No, it's not.
Blue flags to the AlphaTauris.
Can I unlock myself?
You're good to push, you're good to push.
He doesn't know what he's allowed to. Doesn't know what he's allowed to do. Can I unlap myself? I've got these fresh soft compound tyres on. Have I got to wait for these to go by me, or can I utilise this pace advantage that I should now have over the other cars that I'm racing against? Or what have I got to do? Oh, it's confusing. Oh, it's because the standard message, it's not the standard message, lapped cars will not be allowed to overtake was given to all competitors according to the FIA. That's the standard message. It's not. The standard message is overtaking will not be permitted. An instruction that everybody will understand, right? Overtaking will not be permitted means overtaking will not be permitted. Whereas lapped cars will not be allowed to overtake. Well, who am I not allowed to overtake? Have I got to wait till these cars that aren't lapped, they get the blue flags and overtake me? And after they've done that, am I allowed to now overtake? If I'm faster than these cars that I've let by me on blues, am I allowed to re-overtake them and unlap myself? Nobody knows, do they? Nobody knows, because it's not authentic. Regulations aren't written that way, are they? No, they're written so everybody understands what they are. So this notion of, oh, the standard message, lapped cars will not be allowed to overtake, was given to the competitors and shown to the world on lap 56. The entire contrivance. Oh my Lord, Max! Oh my Lord! Max Verstappen, you are the world champion! The world champion! There'll be some strap-on fanboys ejaculating at this moment in time. Right. But, brakes on, or whatever it was. Recharge on. You fully deserve that. You absolutely deserve that, Max. You had no luck all year, despite all the infringements that you got away with. But Lance here, Lance didn't get that message. Let's listen to what Lance's reaction was when he crosses the finish line.
Okay, Lance, that's checkered flag. That's checkered flag. We'll explain what happened. We'll explain later.
Yeah, man, what the fuck?
We'll explain later.
We'll explain later. Once again, a team having to keep quiet on the radio and tell their driver, we'll explain later. We're not going to discuss this over the airwaves. We will explain later. There's a reason. Because they want to keep that conversation private. And there's a reason. And that is because what took place was illegal. It was fraudulent. It fixed the outcome of a race. Aston Martin were complicit within that. I can't blame Lance Stroll. Don't think he knew what was actually going on. I think he knew what should have happened, and he was aware that it wasn't happening. But at the time, I don't think he quite clicked on exactly what was being produced. Although that being said, this notion of, Verstappen will get to cut the queue. What had you convinced him of, lads? All of you that contrived it. You'd convinced Lance Stroll that somehow Verstappen was going to, if this sort of thing happened, we'd allow Max Verstappen to cut the queue to create this race with Lewis Hamilton, would we? Strange. So, next one up will be Daniel Ricciardo. So we're moving further forward in the field. Daniel Ricciardo in 12th position, and we all know what Daniel Ricciardo said after the race, that he's glad that he was not a part of whatever just happened there. So we'll see if that audio is still on there and hasn't been blanked out by F1 TV, and we'll go through what happened from the moment Latifi crashed between Daniel Ricciardo and his race engineer. That's for the next one. Thank you.